What is up, fellow humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm doing a little discussion video talking about Springins. This is a really cool deck, and it's actually getting 4 whole support cards in Lightning Overdrive in less than a week. It also has another decent continuous trap coming in Dawn of Majesty after that, and we might even have stuff in Burst of Destiny. We don't even know yet, though. But even so, I think this support really puts this deck in an interesting spot because the deck hasn't been able to do anything just yet. I think it's one of those decks that we see fairly often. First wave of support isn't quite enough, but you definitely see a little bit of potential. And then after the second and third wave of support, you're like, okay, we rounded out the archetype, and now we can do some things. So today I'm pretty much just going to be talking about what we have for Springins, what they need, and pretty much the new cards and whether or not they fulfill what the deck really needed to be able to compete. So as far as the stuff we have so far, you just have a couple of basic monsters here: Spriggans Rocky, Springins Pedor, Springins Branga, and Springins Captain Sargus for the main deck monsters. All main deck Springin monsters have the same first effect, which is essentially that they can, if they're in hand, on field, or in grave, they can just target a Spriggans Exceed and equip themselves to it. That is very, very good. And it makes them all feel like they have worth, whether they're in the grave or not. And then they all have an additional effect otherwise. Rocky, when he's normal or special summon, can add a Springins monster back from grave. Pedor contribute himself to reborn any Springins monster in grave. Keep in mind, if you're trying to reborn an Exceed, it needed to originally be summoned the correct way. Branga can banish himself and another Springins monster in grave with a different name to add any Springins card from deck to grave, or deck to hand, sorry, which is actually really good because it searches any card, so the spells and traps are searchable here. And then Captain Sargus, when he's on the field, he can use a quick effect to detach a material from an Exceed monster you control to pop a card on the field, so he gives you disruption in like a Trident-esque form, which is all really good. So really good there. The only thing I would complain about monster wise is that we don't really seem to have a starter, and we'll see. I think there's potentially a way to make scraps like really good in the deck. Maybe because like you have a little bit of synergy there with like the machine kind of aspect, but we'll see. Also, by the way, I meant to mention this a little bit earlier in the video, but Spriggans are part of the Dogmatica lore, this whole lore. If you like the Dogmatica lore, you can see this mat is gorgeous. My main man, Charles from Team COG, he has his own channel. He actually recently released this mat. You can get it with the dark background like this with the white lines, or you can get it with like white background, black or red lines. All of them look amazing. I like this one the most. On the other side, it has the Serpent, I believe, Golganda, and it's just awesome. It looks amazing. If you love the Dogmatica lore, this is the best like Dogmatica lore mat I've seen so far. So I'll leave a link in the description below, and also a code that'll get you, I believe, 10% off down there as well. So go check that out. Help him out, help me out, and get yourself a sick playmat. So yeah. All right, moving on with the spells. You've got Golganda and Springins Watch. This is pretty simple. Golganda is actually awesome. This card lets you pitch any Springins card to summon any Springins Exceed straight from the extra deck. You cheat it out. You don't even have to like have anything on field or anything, which is really good. It also gives 1,000 attack to any Springins monster, Exceed monster on the field, which helps them get much bigger. Really good. So just really powerful, getting you a free Exceed. And then Springins Watch. This card can either search Golganda, but if you already have Golganda, then it can search a Spriggans monster while also Foolish Burialing a Spriggans monster at the same time. So add one, dump one, insanely powerful there as well. These cards are awesome, very, very good. These are like the only starters I would say the deck has at the moment, because the monsters themselves just don't really have a starter. They don't have a Stratos type card. They don't have anything like that. None of their monsters really seem to be amazing starters, but the spell and the field spell kind of help cover that a little bit. And then for the traps that we already have, Spriggans Call and Spriggans Blast. Call's really good. It's kind of like a Call of the Haunted, but it can also reborn a Fallen of Albaz, which is really nice if you decide to play it. But also you can banish this and a fusion monster from grave that to target a Spriggans Exceed monster you control and attach a fusion material that lists Fallen of Albaz to it as material. So you could attach either a Sprint, or if you're splashing like a Dogmatica engine, you could attach, obviously, the what's his name, Titaniclad, and then you'd get a search when you eventually detach them, which is pretty cool. And then Spriggans Blast. This card's kind of just disruption. As long as you control a Spriggans monster, you could choose a main monster zone on your opponent's field, and a monster in that zone has its effects negated, which is fine. It's kind of just like an imperm effect, but it targets zones. So technically it doesn't target monsters, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't play more than 2 of this ever, but maybe with the new cards, I might only play 1. But it's searchable disruption, so you definitely need to consider that. And I might as well touch on this as well. One of the other downsides with the deck, I think the 2 biggest things are like lack of actual starters, cards that feel like they're going to push you to like do a lot really fast, as well as interruption. This deck is great at being like stally and dodging your opponent's removal and being annoying to deal with everything. But the one thing the deck doesn't do is set up like multiple interruptions consistently, right? Like this card's fine, but you don't even consistently get to this every turn 1. And so hopefully the new cards will help us out with that. You also have, you know, your X-Blower, which is really cool. This card can target detached materials and then target a zone on your opponent's field, and you pop a number of cards in adjacent zones to that zone you targeted up to the number of cards you detached. So it's really cool. You can just like pop cards in a plus formation essentially from the zone you target. Doesn't target monsters, but it does destroy, and it can be huge. You can pop like, you can remove 2 to even 3 cards sometimes with this. It also can quick tag out on your opponent's turn to just dodge effects. That'll actually come up with one of the new cards as well. Then we have Sprint. This is just the fusion I talked about. Really, you're never realistically going to be summoning this unless maybe you're playing Albaz. But other than that, you're mainly going to be using like your, what was it, Spriggan's Call to potentially attach this as material to an Exceed. And then when it's detached on end phase, it does the same thing Titaniclad does, but for Springin. So you either summon a Springin or search a Springin on end phase. So like summoning a Rocky on your opponent's end phase is pretty good, because then Rocky will get an add back from grave. It's just a +1 there, which is pretty good. All right, so that is all the monsters we have right now, or all the cards we have right now, I should say. And we're definitely missing some really important stuff. So moving over to some of the new cards we have coming in. We have Supreme Sovereign Serpent of Golganda. This card kind of pairs with the field spell. Essentially, it gains 3,000 while Golganda, the field spell's on the field, even though it starts at 0. But also, if it's in grave or hand and you just have any field spell in your zone, you can special this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So it's just a level 8 extender. This card's actually generic, so it could be played in like multiple other decks as well. So don't forget that. And then also, if Golganda, the field spell, would be destroyed at any point, you can banish 1 monster from your graveyard instead. So that actually gives you additional, protection there, which is really nice. So just a nice extender. I'm not even sure if it's going to be played in this deck right out of the gate, because I'm not sure a level 8 extender is exactly what the deck is really looking for, especially when that extender is completely dead if you don't open a Golganda, but still an interesting card nonetheless. Then we have a new main deck actual Springins monster. This is Brothers. When he's sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can target a Springins monster in grave and reborn it. That's any Springins monster. Again, make sure if you're going to try and reborn a Springins Exceed that it was correctly summoned originally. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a regular one. But kind of cool, because you could just like Foolish Burial this, then special a Rocky that's in grave, and then Rocky add the Brothers to hand. So without your normal summon, you'd get that, and then you just normal summon Brothers from there, and you're kind of off to the races. It's pretty cool. And then he obviously has the same effect where he can, like, from hand, field, or grave, target a Springins Exceed and attach himself as material. So pretty nice card there for sure to add to the lineup. Then we get to Spriggan's Booty. I think this is the 1 or 2 most impactful cards in this grouping of support. So its first effect is continuous, by the way. Says if a face-up Exceed monster you control leaves the field by card effect, including their own, right? You can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls. Neither player can activate that effect monster's effects on the field this turn. That's really, really good. I like it that it says they can't activate, so it's not even negated. So effects can't even attempt to activate by paying cost, and like can work around this certain ways. I like that it just says can't be activated, which is really cool. I like that a lot. The second effect says you can send this face-up card to the grave to activate a Golganda directly from the deck or grave. That's also really, really nice. because it just becomes a consistency card in that regard. Golganda is our best starter. I already said that before. And now that we have another 3 of, essentially, could be a 3 of, that just gets us to that. Really, really cool. So I said one of the problems with the deck was disruption. This obviously helps with that. Oh, I clicked off of it there, but just really, 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 really good. I love that it has that dual effects. By the way, both effects can be used in the same turn. So you can negate something to disrupt your opponent. And then after that, not even disrupt them, because I guess you could do it on your turn to stop something from being like messing you up. And then you could use this effect to get you Golganda, which is really cool. And then the last card here, again, arguably one of the better cards here, Springins Merrymaker, a rank 4. We had a rank 8, but the deck really seems better at making rank 4s. This card's awesome. It's generic, takes any 2 level 4s. If this card is special summoned from your extra deck, you can send a Spriggans monster from your deck to the graveyard. And during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase. Then if you banish this card with 2 or more Exceed materials, you can also send a fusion monster from your extra deck that lists Fallen of Albaz as material. So this is really good. This second effect is really, really strong. It gives you the ability to tag out, but considering the Spriggans will be able to equip to this, you're almost always doing this with 2 materials, so that you will be able to get to send that. So you'll be able to send your Sprind, or if you're playing a Dogmatic engine, send a Titaniclads. That way you can get like an Ecclesia on the following turn. Either way, really, really solid there. Gives you the ability to grind. And it's another Exceed. I didn't even say this with the spell, is that like your Explorer is tagging out on your opponent's turn, and so is Merrymaker. So whichever one you end on, they quick effect remove themselves from the field via card effect, which triggers your continuous spell to then negate something. So that's where you get additional disruption in the deck. Is it the best disruption you've ever seen? Absolutely not. It's essentially impermanence, but arguably better, which isn't the end-all be-all of disruption, but it definitely does help the deck, and it's going to help the deck much more consistently get to that. This is a grindier deck, though, clearly, right? Your Exceeds are based on dodging stuff, getting out of the way. That way you can get to your next turn with a lot of resources and just start popping your opponent's stuff with Explorer, rotating resources by using Merrymaker to send extra cards. Merrymaker's effect on summon also is really good. Just consider the fact that if you had Rocky and you like pitched Rocky off of Golganda to summon the Merrymaker, then Merrymaker on summon would send the new guy Brothers, and then Brothers would special Rocky back from grave because you just pitched him. Then Rocky would add the Brothers back to hand. So without even normal summoning, you've got the Merrymaker on field, Rocky on field, and Brothers in hand, and you have it normaled. Which is actually pretty good. So you normal there, and you can make another rank 4 if you wanted to. That could end up being something like Dwell or something like Baguska. More disruption in those forms as well. Really, really cool. So yeah, I really think this deck's in a much cooler place. I can't wait to see how things turn out. I'm definitely going to test I'm probably going to mess around with a pure variant. I'm probably going to mess around seeing if scraps is a thing. Like, again, I want more power cards, so maybe adding a scrap engine where seeing Raptor, Recycler, or Scrapyard could be additional starters, like immediate must negate cards for your opponent. That way the Spriggan stuff can do what they do after that stuff has baited negates. But we'll see. I'm just excited to mess around with it. I definitely think this deck is really interesting. There's another continuous trap in the next set. We'll see if there's more after that. It's a Dogmatica lore deck, so they tend to get a lot of support. I mean, look at Tri-Brigade, look at Dogmatica. They're doing pretty well. I can't wait to see where this deck goes. So I'm really excited for it. I just wanted to make a quick discussion video talking about all of the stuff that's going on here. I really think this deck has a chance to be like a really cool rogue deck. Again, I don't think it sets up enough disruption to be like a true like tier 1 or anything, but maybe it surprises people, catches on a little bit, becomes a tier 2 deck at best. And I just love the way it works. I think I think we haven't seen a deck work quite like this. I think it's pretty unique the way it works, and Golganda cheating out your Exceeds and stuff, and pretty cool. I don't know. I love their designs. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about Springans, especially after Lightning Overdrive. Do you have faith? Do you think they're garbage? Let me know. I'm excited either way. I don't play decks because they're tier 1. I play decks because I like them, and I think they can compete with higher tier decks, and that's all I'm looking for. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think there. Thank you so much for watching as always. Again, if you think this mat is clean, I don't know how you wouldn't, but if you think this mat is clean, you want to pick up one of your own, 10% off in the comments or in the description down below. All that information will be there. Shout out to Charles. He is the man. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.